Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of English with Gemma, where we turn English practice into progress. It's been a while since I've recorded, to be honest, and I'm sorry about that. I've been kind of all over the place, um, just kind of overwhelmed a bit with work, also trying to balance like social life and prioritize that more. So just kind of finding the balance between working, recording, doing social media things, and also having friends, eating healthy, exercising, all the fun things of everyday adult life that we just seem to never have enough hours in the day for. But something I was thinking about recently, and I think about quite often, is maybe it feels like we don't have enough hours in the day because we're not utilizing our time in the best way sometimes. I know I'm guilty of that. I think a lot of us are. And a huge reason for that, especially for me, I don't know about you guys, is because of social media and our phones. Um, so I think we can all relate to this feeling of going to quickly check something on Instagram, and then an hour later you're scrolling and you can't even remember why you went on your phone in the first place. And now you're looking at videos of cats and silly things that you're probably not actually interested in, and you're kind of just distracting yourself and maybe procrastinating about doing a task. I think we've all been there before. And this is because of the very obvious fact that I'm sure we're all quite aware of, is that, social media is super addictive, and it's designed to be that way. There are literally people whose entire jobs it is to study the psychology of how to make these applications like Instagram and TikTok more addictive. And basically, they do things like creating specific sounds that are supposed to release or trigger dopamine in our brains. This happy chemical that is often released when we eat something that we like, or we do something that we like, and that causes craving, and our brain wants more of that feeling. Also, things like creating never ending feeds, in terms of, when you're scrolling on Instagram and it seems to just go on forever and ever and ever, and you can never see the end of reels and videos. It just keeps going. Um, I remember I don't even know if it was a few years ago or a few months ago, on Instagram, you would be able to reach the end of videos. It would say something like, okay, you're all caught up for today, or you've seen everything today. But it doesn't do that anymore. I've noticed that, like, it just keeps going. Like, you can never find the end of the videos and posts. And I also remember when Instagram used to be more post based, photo based, and now it just seems to be full of reels. It's also full of people that I don't even follow and I'm not interested in following, but their content keeps getting recommended to me. And it's really frustrating as well as a content creator, on Instagram, because a lot of people don't actually see my videos. A lot of people who are following me don't see my videos because the algorithm nowadays is not based off of chronological order, or even who you're following. It's very random, and it's very hard as a content creator because, um, oftentimes your content is not actually even reaching your audience, your target audience, or your followers. So, yes, it is not the place that it used to be, and it just seems to get worse and worse and worse. And there's actually research from the University of Pennsylvania, that states people who use social media for more than 30 minutes a day are more likely to experience feelings of anxiety and depression. And that is such a tiny amount of time, 30 minutes a day. Like, think about it. You probably spend way more than 30 minutes a day on social media. And if you are one of those people, a normal person who spends probably more than an hour a day on social media, you're more likely to experience anxiety and depression. So that's a kind of crazy statistic that just 30 minutes a day can start to affect your mental health. But why? Well, like I mentioned earlier, when you scroll through social media, your brain releases this dopamine hormone. And this is the same chemical that's responsible for making you feel happy and rewarded. So, like, you do something and you think, like, oh, that made me feel good. Like, eating a bar of chocolate makes me feel good, but it's not good for my health, you know? So, the problem with this is that you can get hooked, you can get addicted. And before you know it, you're stuck in a loop, you know? So, this is where there is a dark side to all of this, and we have to be very conscious about how we're using these apps. And I'm not saying that they're bad. I'm aware that many of you guys use social media to learn and to, you know, uh to consume content, educational content. And that's great, but I think that we have to be very careful about how we use it. And then another thing I want to talk about is taking breaks. So before we get into why we should take breaks and why that's important for take breaks from social media, let's talk a little bit more about the negative effects. So all of this scrolling on social media can be fun and relaxing, but it can also have some serious effects on your overall well-being. According to a study by the American Psychological Association, social media can obviously lead to sleep disturbances, increased stress, and even low self esteem because when you're comparing yourself to everyone else's perfect Instagram feeds, it's easy to start feeling like you're falling behind in life. Maybe you don't have as much as somebody else, but you have to remember that all the things that you're seeing on social media are so like curated and fake a lot of the time. We only show like the best parts of ourselves oftentimes on social media, and it's like a highlight of our lives. Um, but I think it's important as like a regular person or somebody who has a million followers, just be conscious about what you're sharing and how you're sharing it, and like what do you really want to portray to other people, because that's something I've always been concerned about is like I want to be as real as possible, and like if I'm not having a good day or if I'm struggling with something, I try to share about it in a way that feels like good for me. Like I don't want to share too much personal information because that can sometimes be dangerous, and um you know at the end of the day you don't know like who really is consuming your content, so you want to be kind of aware of that. But I do always strive to just be myself, and that's something that it's really important to me as a teacher as well. Like when I have new students join me for the first time, they always say like, "Oh wow, like you're exactly like how you are in your videos." And that makes me really happy because that's what I want people to feel. I want people to feel like they kind of already know me when they're coming into a class. I want them to feel comfortable. Um, and yeah, I want to create an environment where people feel supported and not judged, because a lot of the times the reason why we want to improve our English is because of fear of criticism from other people. So yeah, I just really want to create a safe environment and just be myself. So yeah, with me, like what you see is what you get, but you have to remember that not everybody on the internet is really who they pretend to be, which I think we all know, but it's nice to have a reminder sometimes. So yeah, I think it's like a lot of people tend to post the highlights of their lives, not really the struggles, the negative things. And I think social media can really create this illusion that everybody has a perfect life. And then that can lead to feelings of inadequacy, which means feeling like you're not good enough. And also something called FOMO. I don't know if you've heard this acronym before. FOMO. FOMO. It means the fear of missing out. And It's like if you see a party on Instagram where you see some vacation and you think, oh, wow, like I wish I was there. That's creating this FOMO, fear of missing out. Like you're afraid that you're missing something great. So, actually, 60% of people report feeling envious, jealous when they see their friends post online. And that's your own friends. So, like, people that you love and care about and cherish, when they post like fun things in their lives online, like we feel jealous. It's a natural reaction. 60% of us feel jealous of our friends when we see them post online. And that constant feeling of envy, of jealousy, can really start to take a toll on your mental health after time. And I haven't even mentioned the impact that it has on your sleep. There was a study done by the Sleep Foundation that says heavy social media use right before bed can disrupt your sleep cycle. And, of course, a bad night's sleep can lead to feeling like crap the next day. And, looking at blue light on your phone when you're supposed to go to sleep is not good for your brain because blue light kind of wakes up your brain. And yeah, staring at screens before bed. Don't do it. You're supposed to put away your phone 2 hours before you go to sleep. I don't do it. I think I do like 1 hour before I go to bed. I try to. And I try not to check my phone an hour after waking up. I use time limits on my phone, and that kind of helps. But even then, it can be really tricky. So that leads me into why taking breaks. And I don't mean taking breaks from your entire phone because obviously we need to stay in touch. A lot of us need our phones and like WhatsApp and messaging systems for work. So I'm not saying like completely break up with your phone. I'm just saying social media, taking breaks, regular breaks from social media. It can improve your mood, your relationships, and even your physical health. If you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed by constant notifications, stepping away for a little while can just really help you recharge and disconnect and reconnect with yourself. Psychologists say that taking breaks allows you to reconnect with the world and practice more mindfulness, so being more conscious and more present in your day-to-day life. In fact, studies show that people who spend less time on social media report feeling less anxious and more focused. And hey, like who doesn't want to feel more focused and present in their life? I think we all would like to feel more conscious and present and not feel like we're going through life on autopilot. So, it's not just about mental health. Taking breaks can also improve your relationships with other people. When you're not constantly checking your phone, you can be more present with the people who are right in front of you in the real world, and you'll actually listen to them instead of thinking about what's happening on Instagram or TikTok or Twitter. Are we calling it Twitter these days or is it X? I don't know. Elon Musk, that guy. Anyways, our next section is all about how to maintain a healthy relationship with social media. Some of my tips. Back in like 2020, I took a 5 month break from everything. From back then, I had Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, like any type of thing, YouTube, any type of thing that was social media, I just completely deleted it off my phone. The only thing I had was WhatsApp. And that was the best 5 months of my life, guys. Honestly, that was before I had English with Gemma. Um, and I was not kind of tied to Instagram for my job. And that was the most present, relaxed, um inquisitive. Like I was really interested in things. I was reading so many books. I was reading books about astrophysics and like all sorts of topics, that super random topics that I just got really interested in because I had so much more free time, and I was just more connected with like the people closest to me in my life. And I realized I spend a lot of my time on Instagram like comparing myself to people who I don't even know that well. Like acquaintances or people who I know because they're friends of a friend of a friend. And I don't know. I spend so much time thinking, oh, my life is not that great. Look at what this person's doing. And I'm like, dude, I don't even know this person. And probably like half of what they're showing on Instagram is not even reality. So why am I wasting so much of my precious time living in this virtual reality that doesn't even exist? So back to my tips, set time limits on your phone. That's the first thing. If you don't want to commit to a full break, you don't have to delete your account, you don't have to deactivate your account, but try using those built-in tools, those time management tools in your phone. Both iPhones and Androids let you set screen time limits for individual apps. You can control it. Like if you want, you can put like an hour and a half for Instagram, but like 3 hours for WhatsApp if you use WhatsApp more. So, you know, basically if you use Instagram for more than an hour and 30 minutes and that's your time limit, you'll get like a notification that pops up and it's like, hey, get out of here. Stop scrolling. Go read a book. And it's kind of cool. It's like your phone saying like, hey, remember life exists outside of your phone. It is very easy to just ignore those notifications and those reminders. So you do have to be very self-disciplined with this. Um, but it is a good starting point. Just and it also makes you like more conscious of how much time you're really spending. Like I remember before I became conscious about screen time, I was spending upwards of like 4 hours a day on my phone. 4 hours a day, that's like half my working day. And now I think it's down to like an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe, which is still a lot and adds up, but it definitely just like seeing that chart of like how much time I spent on my phone every week, it made me think like, wow, I really need to work on that. Another thing that I have done for the past, I want to say like 4 years at least, is I turn off all my notifications. I don't have notifications on for anything except WhatsApp. So I never get notified when somebody likes something on Instagram. Um, and obviously with my English with Gemma account, when you have a lot of followers and stuff, it's you get a lot of notifications. So it's nice just to have that muted and turned off, and then like that also means that you're not just checking your phone every time a notification pops up as like a reflex. You're consciously checking your phone. So you're like, okay, I am deciding consciously to go on Instagram right now, click on the app because I want to check my messages. You're not just like reacting to a buzz in your pocket or a notification on your screen and being like, oh, yep, I need to check that right away. Like, no, no, you don't. It can wait. It's not that serious. Um, Designate social media free times. Um, I used to do this. I don't do it anymore. I will be honest, but I want to start doing it again. It's basically you set a time in your day when you're totally social media free. So you just turn off your phone for like 2 hours before bed, or you can set an entire day where you don't look at your phone. There's a book that I read called How to Break Up with Your Phone. I highly, highly recommend it. I cannot think of the author's name right now, but if you just search How to Break Up with Your Phone, you'll find it on Amazon. And one of the things that it recommends in the beginning chapters is every Sunday, turn your phone off, put it in a drawer, and let people know that you're doing it so people don't think that you have died or fallen off the face of the earth. Just let your friends and family know, like, hey guys, like Sundays are my like phone free days. If that seems a little bit too extreme for you, you can always do just a social media free day. Does not necessarily have to be your whole phone. Some people who are really like into it, they have screen free days. So they'll have an entire Sunday where they don't even look at like laptop, iPad, TV. They just read books and exist in the real world for a whole day. Imagine that. Another thing that you can do is curate your feed. So, what that means is you can control what you see on Instagram. So, if certain accounts make you feel bad about yourself, if you're following a lot of like beauty bloggers or fitness influencers and you just feel like shit when you look at them and compare yourself to them, unfollow them or mute them. It doesn't mean that you don't like that person or you don't want the best for them, but if you are honest with yourself and it's making you feel less than, or it's making you um, compare yourself, just delete it, mute them, don't follow those accounts. Fill your feed with positive content that makes you feel good. My feed actually has a bunch of stop scrolling reminder Instagrams. So a lot of them are like viral videos that they get you hooked. And then it's like, stop scrolling, like get off your phone. And it's really great to follow those kinds of accounts. So yeah, follow accounts that inspire you, that teach you something new. All your educational English learning accounts, those are great, or funny, like feel good accounts that make you laugh, mindfulness or yoga or whatever you're into. Follow those accounts and unfollow all the ones that you're like, that don't make you feel good. You control what you see. A lot of the times nowadays, with all these, like I said, all these recommendations and stuff like that, it can feel like you can't control what you see, but you really can. There's settings you can look into. If you don't like something that Instagram suggests to you, report it and say that it's not relevant or you don't like it, so you don't keep seeing that type of content as well. And the final tip is mindful social media use, using social media mindfully. When you go on, ask yourself, what is my purpose here today? What am I doing? Am I going on Instagram to connect with a friend, to check messages, to look at a post that I like wanted to look at on purpose? Am I going on Instagram to look at English with Gemma and learn something new? Or am I just scrolling mindlessly to pass the time? So being aware of why you're on social media, and every time you take your phone out of your pocket and click that little app, like, what am I doing? Take a moment to pause and be like, what am I doing? Am I choosing to do this right now? Or am I just doing this out of a habit? And then finally, the power of unplugging. So here's a little challenge for you. For the next week, try taking one social media free day. Just one day, whether you're going for a walk, spending time with family, or reading a book, see how it feels to truly unplug. You might be surprised by how much more you enjoy the world outside the screen. And at first, it's going to feel really weird. And you're probably going to keep checking your phone and going to hit the Instagram button and being like, whoa, like when you actually take a break from social media, you realize how addicted you might have been before. Um, so, yeah, remember, social media is not going anywhere. Like you can always come back to it, but taking regular breaks can be really good. And after taking longer breaks, you realize, like, do I even need to be on here? Like, after I took my 5 month break from Instagram, I really heavily considered like just never going back. And right now, I've decided to take a break from my personal account. I don't know how long for. We'll see how it goes. I'll update you in the next episode. But I obviously do still have to be active on my English with Gemma. It's my job. That's not going anywhere, but I am being more mindful of like how I use it. And I think the most important thing for me, and the one that I spent the most like mindless time on, was my personal account. So yeah, taking a break from that, I think is going to be really good for my mental health. I've been feeling very, oops, I just hit my tripod, sorry. I've been feeling very demotivated these days and just lazy, very tired, super drained of energy. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that like I spend a lot of my downtime scrolling and consuming media, and it's not really downtime when you're constantly bombarding your brain with information. So, yeah, I hope that today's episode was a little bit of food for thought. I'm not sure if you've heard that expression before, but it means just something that makes you think. So I hope today's episode was some food for thought. And if you like this type of content, don't forget to subscribe. And one thing that is kind of good is if you're taking a break from Instagram, you can kind of replace it with YouTube, because I do think like obviously it's, if you want to truly take a break from social media, YouTube and Spotify do they count as media. I wouldn't say they're social media. Um, but they are definitely more educational. I think longer form content is also just better for your brain. You're actually engaging more, you're focusing more, your attention span is like actually being utilized. You're not getting instant gratification and watching like a 5 second reel and getting addicted. It's definitely a calmer style of content, consumption. So I definitely think if you are trying to kind of move away from Instagram, like Spotify and YouTube are definitely, they have a different vibe about them. I personally really enjoy making content for YouTube and Spotify, and I don't enjoy making content for Instagram as much. There's a lot of different reasons why. I mean, the main ones are the algorithm just sucks right now. It's really hard to know like what type of content is doing well. You get very obsessed with likes and comments and views. Um, Not much engagement from my followers, which is really frustrating because, like I said, I don't think people are really seeing my content. And also creating meaningful and useful and informative educational content in such a short form way is extremely hard. So, a lot of my reels nowadays are just like silly and they're not really giving my followers like high quality, high value educational content. That's why I really prefer to do longer form content like my podcast and my YouTube videos. So yes, thank you to my audience on Spotify and YouTube. And if you come here from Instagram too, I'm not saying Instagram is like the devil or it's super bad, but um I definitely do prefer this type of content. And I hope you guys enjoy it too. And that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.